Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Dumansing. Well, it seems that Juan Luis Hospital is not the only medical institution in the territory having a hard time. In a Finance Committee hearing on Friday, Schneider Hospital officials presented their fiscal year 2014 budget, and according to them, they're short several $1 million. News 2's April Knight has the details.
2013 seems like an unlucky year for hospitals in the territory. In a meeting on Friday, Schneider Regional Medical Center said to the legislature that it too could use a hand for fiscal year 2014.
Projected shortfall in the operating budget is $9.6 million overall.
One factor that led to a big budget shortfall is the consistent reduction to the hospital budget, and it's far from trivial. From a budget of $27.8 million in 2010, it dropped to $21.2 million in 2014.
That's a $6.5 million reduction, or 23.4%.
Schneider is also dealing with bad debt expenses that piled up from unpaid patient bills. As of June 2013, Schneider is yet to be reimbursed for a total of $2.35 million in care given to homeless and indigent patients.
I mean, there are a number of agencies that we do business with that also haven't paid us for the services. We actually provide service to many government employees who have not paid.
With a steadily decreasing annual budget and revenue collection problems, Schneider Hospital is now facing a $9.6 million shortfall, which will inevitably affect hospital operations if not addressed.
It does impose a serious amount of operating constraints. One example would probably be Whopper, but generally you like to pay your vendors within 30 days. We are out 180 days and beyond many times paying vendors.
The budget problem also prevents Schneider from offering competitive staff salaries, purchasing much-needed equipment, and maintaining infrastructure.
We will continue to take care of our patients. We'll continue to treat the patients and do what we can as an institution. But in the face of diminishing appropriations, it's difficult.
According to Schneider officials, the budget issue can't be solved by just moving around figures and line items. They sorely need additional aid, and they're keeping their fingers crossed that it will come for fiscal year 2014. April Knight, News 2.
Schneider CEO Dr. Bernard Wheatley, budget preparations for fiscal year 2014 are still ongoing, and that he remains hopeful for a favorable response from the legislature's Finance Committee. Police are responding to several criminal cases that occurred during the weekend, including robberies on Prosperity Road, at the Watergut Shanty, and in Estate Williams Delight on St. Croix. Here's the latest.
21st at about 8:15 p.m., police were called to investigate a first-degree robbery on Prosperity Road. The male victim said he was in the area when he was approached by two males. One suspect pointed a handgun at him and demanded his gold chain and other property. The victim said no and began to struggle with the suspect holding the gun. And the second suspect pulled a gun and shot the victim in his right arm. Both suspects ran in one direction while the victim ran in another. The victim was taken to the Governor Juan F. Luis Hospital and Medical Center by a private vehicle for treatment. And both suspects were said to be wearing black skull caps, black bandanas around their faces, black pants, and black shirts. And on July 20th at about 5:30 a.m., police were called to investigate a first-degree robbery that occurred near the Watergut Shanty. The male victim said that he was standing in the area when a Hispanic male walked up to him and pointed a gun at him. The suspect demanded money. The victim said he didn't have any money, and then the suspect hit him on the head with the gun. He took the victim's cell phone and fled the area on foot.
The Department of Justice has successfully completed its second Operation Island Sweep in joint cooperation with the United States Marshals Service and with the assistance of the Virgin Islands Police Department. A territory-wide compliance check of all sex offenders residing, attending school, and working within the territory was conducted during the past week. There are currently 55 sex offenders registered in the District of St. Thomas St. John and 42 sex offenders registered in the District of St. Croix. The Department of Justice urges the community to continue to visit their website at www.doj.vi.gov and view the list of sex offenders in the territory. Officials are investigating what some suspect to be a case of arson. VI Fire Services Zulu Company on St. John responded to the call last Sunday about 10:30 p.m. and they found a fire in the maintenance yard of the service's facilities in Cruz Bay 2 Chevrolet pickup trucks, and a Ford van were all destroyed.
Several days ago, St. John units, a Zulu company, responded to a possible fire in the Cruz Bay area. Upon arrival, they found several cars burned. The investigation is ongoing. It's involving several agencies. At a later date, we will have more information on this cause of this fire.
Be sure to count on 2 to keep you updated. A number of bills were signed into law by Governor John DeYoung late Friday evening. He also vetoed a few bills as well, including a bill that would have granted delinquent property taxpayers a 90-day amnesty for penalties. News2's Shaniqua Robinson has details.
Governor John DeYoung has signed several bills into law and has also vetoed a few, to include the property tax bill, which would have waived all fees, penalties, and interest on property tax assessments currently due and owing for tax years 2008 through 2011. The governor said that even though the bill would result in additional revenue collection, it would be an insult to those responsible taxpayers who have paid their taxes on time. On the other hand, Governor DeYoung has approved a bill that requires car rental companies to use the renter's own insurance in cases when companies require their renters to purchase additional insurance. The governor has also approved a bill establishing a dual credit program between the Virgin Islands Education Department and the University of the Virgin Islands, hoping that this measure will act as an additional incentive for students during their final years of high school to adjust their focus to college-level academics. Citing a need for timeliness, the governor said he earlier had signed into law a bill appropriating funds for the Virgin Islands Little League team's participation in regional tournaments. The governor also approved a bill converting the Morris F. DeCastro Fellowship from a loan to a grant program, and the bill added an additional requirement for the fellowship that each of the recipients return to the territory and work for the Virgin Islands government for at least 3 years. Another bill that was approved by the governor establishes a program at the University of the Virgin Islands for students to receive academic credit for prior learning experiences. The Marine Terminal Tax Bill was also approved, which adjusts the distribution of the Marine Terminal Users Tax, returning all tax collected back to the VI Port Authority. DeYoung also approved a bill empowering the Board of Career and Technical Education with the authority to certify private career and technical schools in the territory. Another bill which was approved will revise the criminal statuses regarding arson, eliminating anachronistic terminology describing the elements of the crime. Shaniqua Robinson, News 2.
Governor DeYoung also approved a bill increasing the appropriated funds for the Education Department's longitudinal data system. The system is designed to track and capture students' data over time to be used to enhance the education system. Well, the latest in the Zimmerman murder trial, more than a week after George Zimmerman was acquitted in the murder of Trayvon Martin. Thousands rallied in dozens of cities over the weekend. Most were in support of Martin. There are continued calls for the Justice Department to open a federal civil rights investigation. And this morning, people are still talking about President Obama speaking at length about the case for the first time since the verdict. Bill Plant has more.
Most of the reaction was positive, but some, like talk show host Tavis Smiley, wondered what took the president 6 days to respond to the verdict.
And the bottom line is, this is not Libya, this is America. On this issue, you cannot lead from behind. What's lacking in this moment is moral leadership.
Observers noted that the president was trying to bridge different constituencies.
He was speaking to African Americans, saying, I get what you get. And he was speaking to white Americans, trying to explain. It was a new role for him, and a role that he decided to take.
When Trayvon Martin was first shot, I said that this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago.
And in very personal terms, he explained why.
There are very few African-American men in this country who haven't had the experience of being followed when they were shopping in a department store. That includes me. There are very few African-American men who haven't had the experience of walking across the street and hearing the locks click on the doors of cars. That happens to me, at least before I was a senator.
On the policy front, the president called for a re-examination of stand-your-ground laws. And at least one Republican found the president's comments very impressive. Senator John McCain, his 2008 opponent, was in agreement.
Stand your ground law may be something that needs to be reviewed by the Florida legislature or any other legislature that has passed such legislation.
Keeping our eye on the economy, jury selection began today in the first civil lawsuit against Toyota. In 2006, a 66-year-old California woman was killed when her Camry crashed. Her family claims her accelerator pedal got stuck and she hit speeds up to 100 miles an hour. The company denies the allegation, and shares of Six Flags Entertainment were under pressure as the company continues to investigate a death at one of its parks. A 51-year-old woman died Friday while riding the Texas Giant roller coaster at the Six Flags in Arlington, Texas. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. Everything up: the Dow 181, Nasdaq 12, S&P 3. Coming up on News 2, things were a little heated in Christiansted on the Big Island on Saturday, and that's because 21 participants were on fire, adding all the ingredients necessary to reveal the hottest hot sauce. We'll be right back. The Committee of the Whole met on St. Croix to hear testimony about legislation to ratify the Fourth Amendment agreement between the VI government and Hovenza regarding the sale of the refinery.
Now, to your knowledge, the possible conversion of a refinery switching from oil, using oil to run its refinery, to switch into LPG or LNG, how would that affect our environment?
It would have a positive impact. It would lower our carbon footprint. We would have decreased emissions.
And with your statement that you just made, is there a possibility that through your agency or perhaps the Department of Health, that information can be disseminated to the people of the Virgin Islands, be it televised, be it radio? Do we have information right now? If I go to the Department of Health right now and I request that information, would it be available?
Senator, I cannot speak to the availability of data at the Department of Health, but we do recognize that there is a deficiency in terms of data, epidemiology type studies to have correlations of health effects with certain environmental realities. So we are mindful that there are deficiencies there, but I cannot speak to with any certainty with what may be available at the Department of Health right now.
And you're being very polite, and let me be blunt. The Department of Health have failed in terms of keeping that kind of information. And somebody correct me, since 2005, they were supposed to start a cancer registry, and up to this date.
Meanwhile, legislature prepares to take more testimony on Tuesday on the proposed agreement between the government and the owners. Over the weekend, Governor DeYoung offered some thoughts on the agreement.
Short term, I think if we can look past this agreement, if we can get the senators to agree to it, and they're asking the right questions. They put the agreement out so that the community has a chance to look at the agreement, see exactly what was negotiated, and what the opportunities are. So when you look at the combination of the Fourth Amendment agreement, and then you look at the study in terms of the Duff and Phelps study that we did in terms of what that facility could do in terms of contributing to our community and what the potentials are, that's where we need to be. We need to be thinking about how we can assist them in marketing that facility, looking at the next concession agreement that we may negotiate that's in the best interest of the community, and see how we can get that facility back to be an operating refinery at some level, which is what it would be the best use of that facility.
Little Switzerland hosted a gala event at their Brightland boutique on Main Street on St. Thomas on Friday to showcase the arrival of the 2013 Brightland timepiece collection. Many familiar guests were sporting their Brightland timepieces. Meanwhile, they were given a first look at the 2013 collection presented by Pablo de Canaz and Laura Silva from Brightland Caribbean, and Brightland store manager Glenn Prince and Vice President of Marketing for Little Switzerland, Adam Levitt. In April this year, Governor John P. DeYoung Jr. and First Lady Cecile DeYoung accepted a check on behalf of Little Switzerland and the Brightland Boutique of $10,000 to benefit the First Lady's literacy initiative. Well, the first annual hot sauce competition dubbed Strand on Fire sizzled Saturday afternoon at the Club Comanche Rum and Wine Bar. The Crew de Croix fundraiser gave participants the opportunity to make and sell their own sauces. Flavors and styles varied from creepers to Jumbie Juice and everything in between. Willie D's and Club Comanche tied for first. Willie D's took the heat category and Rum Runners was the People's Choice winner.
And I have the Jumbie Juice as my main one. It's called the hottest pepper sauce on St. Croix.
Try it by itself. You would get like the full heat, but if you try it with the food, it mild it down a little bit. So you get like a really nice flavor into it.
Someone call it a creep up, but I call it lava love.
And speaking of heat, when will we see the sunshine again? Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.